Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2023 film No One Will Save You. And I'm going to tell you off the bat, I do highly recommend. This is one of those movies that it didn't have a lot of fanfare when it was coming out. It wasn't advertised a whole lot, although I did see a few ads for it when I was watching other shows and movies on Hulu. Because yes, I have the ad version of Hulu because I'm not paying for the premium at the moment. So I did see a few ads for it, and I was kind of like, looks kind of interesting. They were calling it a home invasion alien film, which is pretty accurate. But what really got me to watch this one is that I saw a bunch of people who I do trust their opinions on social media saying, hey, this is actually a really good movie, so check it out. So I was like, I was kind of considering it anyway, so why not just jump in? And this is one of those kind of hidden gem films, I think, for the year. Because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of fanfare for this. It wasn't hyped up. People weren't waiting months for this one to come out, like something like a Scream or, Beau is Afraid or something like that, even though I haven't heard much about Beau is Afraid. But anyway, I recommend, but let's get in and talk about this one. Obviously, no spoiler review because it just came out. Written and directed by Brian Duffield, and that was one of the other reasons that I decided I do need to watch this, because when I looked into who made the film, written and directed by Brian Duffield got me, because he wrote The Babysitter, Underwater, Love and Monsters, and did one of my favorite underrated gems from, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago maybe, Spontaneous. A wonderful film, not fully horror, but has horror elements to it. A lot of emotion in that film, a lot of emotion in the script, and I had a feeling that that would end up showing up in this film as well, and it did. So that was a big treat for me personally. I really like Brian Duffield's writing, so now I'm a fan of his directing as well. So just so people know off the bat, there are only 8 words spoken within this film. There's not much dialogue, obviously. It is, for the most part, a silent movie as far as dialogue goes. Obviously, has a score to it, and, you hear the sound design, that type of stuff. But if you're a person who needs dialogue, or it's hard for you to watch a movie without any sort of dialogue, this might not be for you. But if you're not that person, this may very well be for you. Quick synopsis, like I said, they were billing it as a home invasion alien film. I think that's a pretty good synopsis, but it's basically about a woman who struggles with anxiety and is kind of a big-time outcast within her community. So she kind of stays a shut-in her house, and then one night, aliens, home invasion, and it's about survival. So it's very simplistic story-wise, although there is a little bit more to it than you would think. But it's about how it plays out. It's a simple concept, but the way it's all put together, the technical aspects of it, everything that comes together, really, really makes this thing work. So this is off the bat. As soon as I started watching, the physical acting of Caitlin Dever is so good that you really feel like you don't need dialogue to know what she's feeling and thinking. That says so much about an actor, and she is phenomenal in this. Her performance, unbelievable, in my opinion. She sold this movie. If you don't have someone at her caliber doing this, it fails. And so she put so much into it. And again, since there isn't dialogue to it, really, you don't have the ability to pick things up between characters when they're talking, or just one character, saying how they're feeling. So she had to physically, body language and facial expression, get across so much, and she did. And it is a large part her, but it's not all her. It's also how it's shot, the direction of it. Yeah, and the score also helps with that as well, in kind of like giving you mood when you're seeing, her physical acting. Really comes together well. This movie just oozes emotion, which I love. Big fan of that, especially in my horror films. It just makes it a little bit deeper. It makes it a little bit more, for me, kind of personal in a way. And this film did end up feeling kind of personal, which I'll talk about at the very end. It looks outstanding. The camera work is so smooth and engaging with its movements. I'm a big proponent of that. I don't like a whole lot of the shaky cam stuff. So when you can tell they're using tripods and they're keeping it nice and smooth, maybe using some dollies. smooth movements around, interesting camera angles, which there's plenty of that. There was one part in particular, very interesting camera angle used towards the end of the film that I was just like, oh man. They keep it visually very engaging, so I love that. The sound design and score really stand out because there's pretty much no dialogue. I am a big fan of when sound design particularly stands out in a film. I think it adds so much to potential tension. The other thing I'm a big fan of is when they drop out the music and you're not hearing anything except the sound design. They do that a few times in this film, and it is used to just the nth degree. It works so well. I feel like there's no better way to build and maintain tension in a very important and tense scene than dropping out the score, having no dialogue, and just making that sound design really good and really in your face and shine. And it's just so great the way they do that. I love the way you can just feel tension when there's no dialogue and no score playing. Yes, which they do very well. I already said that. There are some real good creepy moments and also a few jump scares that actually work. I'm not big on jump scares, but when they actually either get me or appear good, and I'm kind of like, oh, well, they could get people. They didn't get me, but they could get people. It has a few of those. It also has decent creepy moments. And this is a good point to say. This is a PG-13 movie. And I think this is one of those movies that makes the strong argument that there is 100% a place for PG-13 horror. There are plenty of people who are just like, no, I need guts and blood. I need brutality. I get that. I like that in my horror movies as well, but it's not a necessity. If you can find a way to make a PG-13 horror movie that's effectively done, like this one, I'm all for it. I'm all in. And this is one of those movies that's that prime example. Some of the CGI in this didn't work the best, I will say. There are a few moments where the CGI works relatively well. There are some other moments where you could tell they didn't put as much time into it because it was potentially more of like a quicker shot or a little bit further away, and it looks a bit wonky. It does not look the best, unfortunately. So CGI, never the best, but I get it gets used, so... things move at a pretty good pace in this movie as well, so pacing is not really an issue. I will say it does slow down a bunch towards the end, and I do wish they would have shaved a little bit of the ending down, because I think it's close to like an hour and 40 minutes maybe in its runtime, and I think it may have felt a little bit better at about an hour and a half, because once again, towards the end, it really does slow down a lot, but probably up until the last, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, it's really moving, and it's moving at a really excellent pace. There are some really cool uses of lighting in this as well. Not only does it have a lot of dark scenes, but you can still see everything that you need to see, so the lighting is very well done, but there's some interesting uses of lighting as well in this one, and you'll see what I mean if you actually watch the movie. I do think it could stand to be shaved down a little bit with the ending, because it does slow down a bunch. I already said that. You do get an answer to something you were wondering in the end. So there's a little bit of intrigue to it, a little bit of, I wonder what's going on here. You will get the answer to what you were wondering, so rest assured you will get that answer. And then the very ending is an interesting choice, but it lines up with the film's potential metaphor. So when I say interesting choice, I mean I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I was kind of like, okay, this isn't the way I wanted it to end, but I understand what they were trying to do here. And like I said, I think it potentially fits with the potential metaphor, which I will talk about. And I'll give you a warning before I end up talking about that. I identify a good deal with this movie because of the main character being an introvert and having anxiety. I am both of those things. I'm an introvert. I have anxiety issues. So when you put a character like that on the screen, especially in a horror film, I'm going to really identify with them. And yeah, so here's where people might want to stop my review, because I am going to talk about what I think is the metaphor. I won't be telling you any of the actual events of the movie, but I will tell you what I think the metaphor is. And I'll also make a comparison to some other movies that I feel that it kind of feels like or plays out like. So you might want to stop now. But anyway, here we go. I ultimately think this is a metaphor for feeling like you don't fit in and feeling alone even around other people. which is something that introverts and people with anxiety really do experience. And more specifically, having a mental health issue and feeling alone in your struggles. And that is something that oftentimes does happen, me included. When I've had anxiety problems with, I'm gone through depressive states, I have 100% felt like I'm alone. And I think that's pretty common. And I think this film does a really good job, if you think about it, of capturing that feeling and kind of putting it on display in an interesting horror setting. So, for that reason, I just feel like it's deeper than what a lot of people may think it is. But then again, maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but the way I'm reading into it, it works that way too. So, yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, this is the mixture of movies that came to mind for me when I was watching this. I think this feels like a mix of the movie Starfish, which I loved, A Quiet Place, which I thought was good, and Annihilation, which I loved as well. So Starfish, A Quiet Place, and Annihilation all mixed together. So let me know your thoughts on this movie. If you've already seen it or if you're going to see it, you can come back and comment. Go ahead and put it down in the comments section and just let me know, a sentence or two, why you did like it, why you didn't like it. I just don't like it when people are just like, liked it, didn't like it. Because it just, like, you might as well not comment because it just doesn't mean anything. There's no conversation to start from there. And I'm looking for a little bit of conversation with it. But hopefully people really enjoy this one. I really did. Out of 5 stars with half stars at play, I'm giving it a very good 4-star rating. This is one of the best horror films I've seen this year. And I will be doing a top 10 list, or maybe even top 15. I think I did top 15 last year, but I'll do that, I think, beginning of 2024, sometime in January, but or maybe even at the end in December of 2023. We'll see. But this one is probably going to be on that list. I'm just telling you right now. So, and it's on Hulu, obviously. So please check this out. Thank you for checking out this video, and thank you for, checking out any video on my channel. Please consider subscribing to my channel. It is quick. It is painless. It costs you nothing, and I do appreciate it a lot. You can also hit the notification bell button because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which is at least 3 a week, and you can do the likes and all that stuff if you would like to, maybe help my video out with the algorithm on YouTube. I don't know. But regardless, again, thanks for checking out this video, and until next time, keep it brutal.